All right, welcome back, students. Let's continue our discussion with differentiating between endothermic and exothermic. Now, we had talked about these briefly in other sections, but let's just go ahead and make sure we explain everything here. Notice the two terms here. We've got endothermic and exothermic. And so if we kind of break these down a little bit here, the endo is going to mean several things, but one of the main things that it does mean within our scope of chemistry is this is going to mean within. And so this is going to be the heat, because thermic heat refers to heat. So this is going to be the heat within the reaction, which oftentimes when we look at these two, this means that we're going to have to apply heat within that chemical reaction at the beginning, or we have to apply heat in order for a chemical reaction to progress. And so here, an endothermic reaction is going to be where heat is applied. And largely here, the thing that's not being said is that there's an activation energy that needs to be met, this minimum threshold of energy, in order for the reaction to proceed. And we'll cover that here in a video a little bit later. But for right now, let's continue. And then exothermic here, exo means beyond. It also means here that it's going to be exiting or beyond the reaction. And so again, here thermic means heat. So in these two cases here, when we put these together here, in an exothermic reaction, heat is going to be released. And the main idea to think about these two concepts here is if you're releasing heat, clearly this section here is going to be a product of the chemical reaction. And in terms of the heat being applied, this here is going to cause heat to be treated as a reactant. Okay? And so the relationship between how much heat is produced versus how much heat is needed for a reaction is ultimately going to be looked at in terms of the change in heat that we're going to be looking at here. I think that's referred to as the heat of a reaction. And so keep in mind that whenever we look at exothermic reactions here, let me separate this out here. And so exothermic reactions are always going to have a negative value for Q. And then the endothermic reactions are always going to have a positive value for Q. Okay? And so essentially what these are saying here, the negative sign here means released. And then the positive here is that you are applying the heat. Okay, and so let's just make sure we clarify that. Released heat, applying heat. Okay, and so that's the main way you tell the difference between an endothermic and an exothermic reaction in general terms. As we progress and look at other videos, we're going to use these values here, or these terms, within the construct of Q values and delta H values. So keep an eye out for that video. And if you haven't already done so, please subscribe. And keep watching and learning, and we'll see you in the next one.